picture for me. Only you can tell me what it's looking like. I'd rather look inside of myself than let you push inside and ruin everything that I built. That way I never lose, yeah. You've been playing games, I've been keeping one step ahead of you. I can't let this feeling get too incredible, cause I'm too credible. Found my calling, but I'm still belling you. Got me doing shit that I never do. Rolling the dice on the side of me that I was keeping invisible. Hedging my bets, shooting my shot. It's feeling more like Russian roulette. I'm doing a lot. Casino with a handful of cash, but I'm losing the slots. It's stinging, but I'm keeping it fly. I move like a wasp. You've been trying to pluck on my wings and do what you want. Now I'm on my digits, wondering what that mouth do. Sucking out my spirit after a spirit and couple on that loud too. Got this whole room feeling soundproof, I doubt you. Got stamina for the round two, the ground moved. Left quicker than it took you to come. A little Campbell on my heart and a few in the club. She made me put it on black, see the truth in the dark. And I was too deep, wanting beautiful love. Without removing a mask, I'm only human and blood. She really do what it does and I don't do this enough, yeah. Cause I can't let my guard down when I'm around you. I was feeling lost before I found you, yeah. Gambled on your love, but I weren't proud to. Cause you were never betting on me, never put a penny on me. Cause I can't let my guard down when I'm around you. I was feeling lost before I found you, yeah. Gambled on your love, but I weren't proud to. Cause you were never betting on me, never put a penny on me. Strings. You've been playing melodies while you're dancing. You need a light or you couldn't know the darkness. Taking all bets or is it only the advantage? I just wanna know where to charge it. I don't know where my card is. You're playing elusive. Been looking for answers. Got caught in a crosshair. Big shot that I'm shooting. Wish I was a marksman. Yeah. All chips down. Still wanting to show that dope. You could've bought this out. High rolling the coast up rock, but are you all in now? Lights flashing, I still don't know if you can sort this out. Yeah, 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 yeah. Cause I can't let my guard down when I'm around you. I was feeling lost before I found you, yeah. Gambled on your love, but I weren't proud to. Cause you were never betting on me, never put a penny on me. Cause I can't let my guard down when I'm around you. I was feeling lost before I found you, yeah, yeah. Gambled on your love, but I weren't proud to. Cause you were never betting on me, never put a penny on me. I still don't know if we can sort this out. Yeah, 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 yeah.
invited to dance. The drinks aren't that cheap. You run into my tab. It's too dark to see, but you look good in this light. I just wanna go home. Don't make me wait all night. Everybody's busy in pursuit of something pretty. All I need is simply right here, right here, right here. Right here, right here. I'm lost in the crowd. I can't find my dream. The speakers are blown. Yeah, I can't hear myself think. You set me aside. Conversation discreet. I just wanna go home. Can I take you with me? Everybody's busy in pursuit of something pretty. All I need is simply right here, right here, right here. Right here, right here. Right here, right here. excited. You up here saving my life. Every time that I breathe grows inside of me. Magnets pull me into your aura, and now we become another entity. You know I think about you every night. You know I feel like I do, and it's alright, alright. I know you feel the same. I know you feel the same. It's just as clear as day. Every time you come my way, wanna hear you whisper my name. Your eyes tell me where I belong. Every time we kiss feels like home. Whispers telling me you're the one, playing over in my head like a song. You know I think about you day and night. Yeah. You know I feel like I do, and it's alright, alright. I know you feel the same. I know you feel the same. It's just as clear as day. Just as clear as day. Every time you come my way, wanna hear you whisper my name. You whisper my name. I know you feel the same. It's just as clear as day. It's just as clear as day. Every time you come my way, wanna hear you whisper my name. Oh baby, whisper my name. Whisper my name.
angel and a demon. Rolling on one. Expectations treat me like an animal. I treat you like a harlequin. No respect. It's not a match. No time to work things out. Forgive me, I go my own way. Forgot that line. Follow your heart. That path might lead you astray. Expectations. If it ain't today, what will it be tomorrow? Are you the one? It's not a match. There's no time to work it out. Forgive me, I go my own way. Infatuated, lifting the tub. Well, we did it. We made something out of nothing. We made something, it was everything. Walking the path. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Walking the path. Ooh.
speaking code, so only know what you hold. Can't hold you on till I come home. If I come home, 'cause I'm flowing west, 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 I'm flowing west. On the road, nowhere to go. I lost my home so long ago. Tell me you'll miss me back in the city. This stream flows quickly. You can't come with me, 'cause I'm flowing west, I'm flowing west, I'm flowing west, I'm It's alright. You should stay. All this love needed is another day. Could we just walk and talk?
Now is the time to turn off cell phones and any device that rings, vibrates, or glows in the dark. Also, the use of cameras and recording devices is prohibited. Please take a moment to locate all of the lighted exit signs in the theater in case of an emergency. Ushers are standing by to assist you. Please enjoy the show.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Mass Poetry's Evening of Inspired Leaders. I'll tell you who I am in a moment, but first, can we say thank you to Acoustic Nomads? That was an amazing performance. Their new album is called The Abominable String Band, and they will have a release of a celebration for the release of that album on Thursday at 7:30, so keep that in mind. It's in Somerville. And I'm very glad to say we'll hear from them again this evening. But we would like to first begin by respectfully acknowledging that Mass Poetry and Boston are on the ancestral land of the Massachusetts, Wampanoag, Nipmuc, and Agawam peoples. Many other indigenous communities have lived and moved through this land over hundreds of years, and many indigenous people work and live in these regions today. So let's take a moment to honor these ancestral grounds that we are collectively gathered upon and support the resilience and strength that all indigenous people have shown worldwide. Okay, so my name is Rupa Shenoy. I host WBOR's Morning Edition, and I am so honored to be here tonight. I've got to tell you, my respect for poetry comes from the news, because like poetry, the news is about giving people information distilled down to the fewest words possible. And every word is meaningful, and every word moves you forward. And that is poetry. And every morning, I turn the news into haikus. So when I'm reading it, it looks, it looks like phrases. My team jokes that I'm reading poetry. And you know what's going on in the news. That makes sense. I mean, very often, it really feels like poetry. And so it feels appropriate that I'm here tonight with the news, from politics to pandemics. We have all been through a lot recently, and we need to process. And poetry is what that's about. And we are so honored and lucky tonight to have these people, inspiring leaders here, to do that with us. You're going to see a side of them that you do not see often. These are the leaders of our community, and you're going to see them as speakers of poetry and people who feel and breathe poetry. And so hopefully you'll get to know them in a different way. So in that spirit, our first poem of the night, let's see if I can get it. I'm going to do Lucille Clifton, Won't You Celebrate With Me? I made it up here on this bridge between starshine and clay, my one hand holding tight my other hand. Come celebrate with me that every day something has tried to kill me and has failed. So rather than introduce each of our participants one at a time, I'll introduce them in groups. Our first group are 3 leaders who all work in arts and culture and all share a passion for equity, justice, and social change. Michelle Garcia Fresco will perform an original poem. She is a Dominican poet, performer, and teaching artist, a senior at UMass Lowell, and also the program coordinator for the nonprofit Elevated Thought in Lawrence. She'll be followed by Michael Bobbitt, the highest ranking cultural official in the Commonwealth. Wow. An award-winning theater director, choreographer, and playwright who leads the Massachusetts Cultural Council. I could have gone on for like another paragraph, but I'll just stop there. Third will be Mika Rose. They are a Gemini child of wonder, is how they describe themselves. Co-director of Arts Connected International, a writer and performer whose art asks, how do we nurture the sacred that breathes in and between us? So first up, Michelle.
Thank you. How are you guys feeling? Oh no. This sounds like a participation trophy. So we're gonna try that again. How are you guys feeling? Good. I'm excited to be here, especially with so many great people and so many great people also from Mass Poetry who helped put this together. So thank you for having us. I'm going to read my poem first, and then I'm going to speak about it a little bit. But before we do that, it's only right because we are doing poetry. If you're able to, can everybody put their hands up like this? All right, now take your middle finger and your thumb and then put them like that together. And then I want y'all to just like, okay, so I taught you all how to snap if you didn't know how. In poetry, you know, sometimes we clap at the end, but if you hear something that moves you, that really resonates with you, I encourage you all to show love to all of our speakers and, yeah, to each other. So I'm gonna start. Lewis says, I got hoops for days. What he means is, you could tell a lot about a girl by the size of her earrings. Says, I got a hole in my chest. Wants to know why all Latinas are the same. Wants to know what we hide in all our hoops to have all this attitude, and you know what they say. The bigger the hoop, the looser my hips swing. When I dance, my hoops so big, they salsa in the air or in circles. My hoops is circles or cycles of survival. My mother says she had hoops as big as my heart, as big as my mouth. Says I don't know when to shut them. Says hoops are hollow from the inside out, that you can see right through them, but no one ever sees the weight. My hoops never wait. Always swing when my hands talk, always got something slick to say. Always has the best intentions, but the worst patience. My hoops is impatient. It's all attitude and acrylic, and yeah, they're mine because I paid for them. And they as real as these refills. My hoops be a no net above the rim finesse. Make the boys on the block want to ball up and ball out. Make them want to shoot their shot, and you know my pick-up game's nice. Even when I'm not, my hoops is consistent. Always clinging onto skin. Always trying to hold all the people I love in them, and yeah. Maybe all Latinas are the same. Just the holes in our chests, the targets on either side of our necks, but tell me, a story of survival that did not come full circle, where a woman was not both the beginning and the end. Thank you. Thanks. Going first is always like nerve-wracking. It's like good because it's like you have no one to compare me to, but then it's like bad because it's like I'm first. But just to talk about why I chose this piece, first it's very on brand. I have to say it's very Michelle. But I also think that sometimes the hardest thing that we can do is show up as ourselves, especially in spaces where everybody doesn't look like you. Especially as a woman of color, you're always perceived as unprofessional or made to feel like you're taking up too much space. For me, this piece reminds me that I don't have to compromise who I am because of perception. I'm allowed to be professional, well-spoken, confident, complex, Dominican, and chaotic all at the same time with my hoops on. As a young person that was empowered to tell my truth, I'm blessed now to be able to empower and provide opportunities for other young people to do the same. I hope that the young people we serve remember the importance and the power of their own stories and the ways in which showing up as themselves in the world is enough and also allows others to feel seen and inspired. Thank you all so much.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Good. I'm Michael Bobbitt. I am the Executive Director of Mass Cultural Council. If you don't know Mass Cultural Council, especially if you're an artist, we are your state agency that supports the cultural sector, mostly through grants. So thank you all for paying your taxes. Much appreciated. Also, anyone that's a poet here, I am obsessed with you. Thank you for making me rethink the way my relationship is with words and putting new words together so we can actually have new inspiration. Tonight is a fundraiser, and I won't miss the opportunity to say to you, I hope you are contributing handsomely. Mass Poetry will take cash, check, credit cards, liquidated retirements. Please support your cultural sector. I have two poems I'm going to read to you tonight. They're both very short. One is called Those Winter Sundays by Robert Hayden. And this poem, it spoke to me. I didn't know why at first, and it took me a minute to reflect on it, but it reminds me as a 50-year-old dad with a 21-year-old child, the relationship I have with my son. And maybe how much anger I had about my dad when I was a very young child, and to reflect back on it as an adult, maybe he was doing his best. So I'm going to share that with you, and then the second poem is called "Crossing" by Jericho Brown, and that attached. My connection with that was really kind of somewhat about tonight, because I think it's a little bit about leadership and how leadership has to be confident and gregarious and tenacious, but it can be scary and lonely. And so I hope you are all taking care of the leaders that you get to work with. Those Winter Sundays by Robert Hayden. Sundays, too, my father got up early and put on his clothes in the blue-black cold. Then, with cracked hands that ached from the labor of the weekday weather, made banked fires blaze. No one ever thanked him. I'd wake up and hear the cold splintering and breaking. And when the rooms were warm, he'd call, and slowly I would rise and dress, fearing the chronic angers of that house, speaking indifferently to him, who had driven out the cold and polished my good shoes as well. What did I know? What did I know of love's austere and lonely offices? Crossing, I should put these on because these aren't for fashion. Oh, that's so much better. Crossing by Jericho Brown. The water is one thing, and one thing for miles. The water is one thing, making this bridge built over the water another. Walk it early. Walk it back when the day goes dim. Everyone rising just to find a way toward rest again. We work, start on one side of the day like a planet's only sun, our eyes straight until the flame sinks. The flame sinks. Thank God I'm different. I figured and counted. I'm not crossing to cross back. I'm set on something vast. It reaches as long as the sea. I'm more than a conqueror, bigger than bravery. I don't march. I'm the one who leaps. Thank you. These, as a queer black man, these poems were also written by queer black men, so yes.
Wow. Hi, y'all. Woo! I'm Mika. I'm so happy to be with y'all. Poetry reminds me so much of the magic of sharing our words and sharing our stories. And as a part of that, thus sharing our breath. And I think it's so severe. We've been in a moment where health asks us and calls on us to maybe conserve our breath or hide it beneath a mask. So I'd love to just share one collective breath all together. So feeling gravity beneath us and the air around us, I invite us all to breathe in and out. Salamat. Thank you. This is by my friend Ali Ong, and I met Ali here at the Harvard Ed Portal before they moved away to UW to study poetry. This is their poem, "You Deserve the World." During this latest shiny new catastrophe, while I lie in bed and luxuriate in the silk of my sadness, a friend's text lights up my screen. You deserve the world. Not this world, hostile and unkind, but the one we are building in the lines of poems, in our wildest melatonin dreams, in the dirt of our gardens, and the recipes passed down to us in a language that we have not yet forgotten. I catch glimpses of it in the tsunami of voices that floods the streets after another life is snatched from a mother's grasp. Their demands, our demands for justice, impossible to ignore. I feel it in my friend's deliberate knuckles massaging coconut oil into my scalp, how their steady hands unworry my brow. Everywhere I look, aliveness. I open my cupboard to discover the plump red face of a tomato that I forgot to turn into pasta sauce, now blooming soft tufts of mold, the stubborn insistence of life in even the harshest conditions. I slice the tip of my finger while chopping cloves of garlic, and before the first drop of blood has blushed the counter, it coagulates at the edge of the wound. A miracle, this body, how it has already begun to heal before I've even registered the hurt. When I say, you deserve the world, what I mean is, this is not the first apocalypse we have survived. The world has ended before, and before, and before, and for some, there was no after. We have watched its rind cracking open like a freshly broken heart. And each time we build and rebuild, we kiss our houseplants on their leafy foreheads before we go to sleep. We dress our bodies in the most brilliant light. We dance like the empire is dying. Water the ground where it once stood, and watch what blooms, lush and verdant in its wake. Thank you. Yeah. I think it's maybe kind of clear why I choose this poem, but I just want to love on the reminders that it gives us, that life, that living every day is a practice, and that the lessons are from the moldy tomato to the friend's text, to how they massage our scalps, to the echoes and tsunami of voices, to the tip of our finger healing before we know we are hurting. These are all our teachers. And may we also remember how we make that new world that we catch and witness glimpses of, not just because we are alive, but because we deserve this. You deserve this. So thank you.
Sorry, I have to pull it down because I'm considerably shorter. You guys are amazing. It takes a lot to be up here and share your feelings and show people what you're feeling, and it's incredible that you're doing it. Thank you for making me feel, because we bury so much every day, and it's such a relief to just have a space to feel. So thank you. I met Mika actually where was that? In a park? Which park? Sav? Okay. Anyway, I saw them leading elders through breathing and dancing exercises. And it looked like poetry in the moment. It looked like joy in the moment. And it's so wonderful to see them shared in another space. So I'm going to put in my own little poem here. It's Mary Oliver, Wild Geese. And lots of people like Mary Oliver. I'm a little sheepish about that. But it's what I wanted to hear. It's what I needed to hear. So, Wild Geese, Mary Oliver. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. That was okay. I was talking to my mom right before this, and she was like, "You're gonna read a poem, and it's gonna sound like the news." Maybe it did, so I apologize if it did. So, as many of you probably know, Mass Poetry moved into a new home this past year, Grub Street's Center for Creative Writing in the Seaport. To celebrate that event in the only way poets could, we're gonna watch a short video, and after the video, we'll hear from Daniel Johnson, the Executive Director of Mass Poetry.
I hear America singing, the varied carols I hear, each singing what belongs to him or her and none else.
I, too, sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes. But I laugh, eat well, and grow strong. Tomorrow, I'll be at the table when company comes. Nobody'll dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I, too, am America.
You could reach into my voice box and pull out a fistful of ammunition. You could reach into my larynx and pull out a dead canary, X's for eyes. I'm disentangling the vocal cords that got knotted in the windstorm. I'm stringing them up against the sky like chimes.
Although she gives me bread of bitterness and sinks into my throat her tiger's tooth, stealing my breath of life, I will confess I love the sculptured hell that tests my youth.
I live on a street where trees have faces, Whippers bebop outside of my window, announcing fresh days, and the leaves whisper our names.
I was the pause during the attendance sheet reading, the stumble after a long list of Anglo-Saxon names, and I made the lives of substitute teachers so difficult. My letters in foreign arrangement were a problem solved by process of elimination. The assumption was that this was me, but my name was never read aloud.
I live on a street with rotating doors like passports to other countries, the sights and smells, music to my ears.
Do you wish they'd stop telling you to write around what goes through you? Wish your voice as strong and dismissive as your mama's swollen laugh? Do you cry often in this city? Do you cry at the noise of young girls swinging their lamplit lives against the sway of train cars, stringing their voices inside you? Do you cry because there are those who want to bury these breaths, smother these names, this anger, this pain, call it defensive, non-compliant, threatening? Do you cry at the sight of other Black women with their hands up?
All of them in iterations and iterations, detached from time and space in strange permutations. Women holding hands with themselves a generation younger. My father, the same age as his mother, with her head on his shoulder. And the girls, my God, the girls I've loved and wanted to, chatting with one another.
Such a sweet dream. I dreamed I was having a conversation with the great poets, Manuel Bandeira and Carlos Drummond de Andrade. I was born tired, hungry, and cold, I said. And Drummond answered, I too.
None of us living under yarmulke, crescent, or cross can cop the science of what happens behind the final curtain coming down. But for now, be a piece of work. Noble your reason, infinite your faculty, angel your action, and learn to apprehend like a god. For we are at times the masters of our own fate, though it seems we're under heaven's spell. But both fault and deliverance are not in our stars, but somewhere deep in ourselves.
Good evening. I'm Daniel Johnson, Mass Poetry's Executive Director. I'd like to open with a brief story. 2005, Chicago's West Side, Cook County Hospital. I walk the humming fluorescent halls of the pediatric ward. It's a week before Christmas. I duck into a dimly lit room. Soft moans float toward me. Thaddeus, I call out softly, and then again. Come in, he rasps. I take a few steps toward him, carrying a tote bag full of poetry books, some charcoal pencils, a digital camera. Hey, Thaddeus, are you up for having a visitor today? No, I think tomorrow would be better, Thaddeus replies, wincing. It's my role as an artist in residence to work with patients when they feel well enough. In the grip of sickle cell anemia, Thaddeus is hardly himself, pinned to the bed. Some days when he approaches the cliff's edge of his pain, he doesn't want to see anyone, prefers to lie in bed in diving bell darkness. Hang in there, Thaddeus. I'll stop by again tomorrow. Promise, I say. But on good days, Thaddeus, age 16, sits upright brightly in a turquoise hospital Johnny, waves me in with his 1,000-watt smile. After catching up, we sit together reading and writing poetry. It's our thing. Together we mouth the words, we thin gin, we jazz June, knowing Gwendolyn Brooks lives only blocks from here in Bronzeville. Together we sway to the blues of Langston Hughes. If I thought them thoughts in bed, them thoughts would bust my head. Together we fly free of the hospital's four walls, voicing Pablo Neruda's life-affirming odes. I love all things, not because they're passionate or sweet-smelling, but because, I don't know, because this ocean is yours and mine. The days I spent with Thaddeus, I remember them so vividly, how Thaddeus came to love the art and literature of the Harlem Renaissance, how his long, delicate fingers gripped a pen as he drafted his own fledgling poems. Here's a stanza penned by Thaddeus, age 16. Lucky stones. I have stones in my gallbladder. Having stones inside me makes me feel like I can't breathe. But if the doctor gave me those stones, I'd keep them in a pickle jar in my closet for luck. I would play with one of the stones. It would be my favorite marble. For several years, I worked as an artist in residence alongside dozens of pediatric patients, some who were in great pain, like Thaddeus, a few who lay dying, but most were on the full road to recovery. The thing I remember is this: working side by side and making art together, whether a poem, photograph, or watercolor, can lift the spirits and even lessen the pain of patients like Thaddeus. We even had doctors and nurses tell us this directly. It was a sacred space to be working in, for sure. I chose to share Thaddeus' story tonight because I know firsthand from decades of experience the healing power of the arts. Studies show that youth who encounter high-quality arts instruction perform better academically, often experience better health outcomes, and can even display more resilient mental health. Having worked in urban schools, prisons, and hospitals, I've dedicated my life to the power of this principle. 2.5 years in to the COVID-19 pandemic, we find ourselves at a cultural moment when we need to dedicate our most powerful tools to heal and mend, to breathe art and song back into our lives. At Mass Poetry, we're doing exactly that. With multi-year funding from the Massachusetts Cultural Council, thank you, Michael and team. We just launched a teen spoken word program. Teens from across Boston have the chance to come to Grub Street Center for Creative Writing, where Mass Poetry now serves as an arts partner in residence. Our teens can record their poems in a state-of-the-art podcast studio and share their work from the Calderwood literary stage with views of Boston Harbor. In just a minute, you'll meet Josie Colon, one of our teens who came up through Mass Poetry's Poet in Residence program at New Mission High School. This year, our residencies will reach 1,500 teens like Josie at a dozen partner schools. Josie currently serves as a founding member of our Teen Council, which is now laying the groundwork to bring back a statewide youth spoken word festival. These are challenging but exciting times. With backing from the National Endowment for the Arts, Mass Poetry will bring back the Massachusetts Poetry Festival this May. Thank you very much. Please come, all of you, May 5th through 7th in 2023. Headliners include Ilya Kaminsky, the great Ukrainian-American poet, and dozens of others. Before I close, I'd like to return to the power and hush of those hours spent working with Thaddeus. To pass down an art form, a craft, is a transformative act of love and healing. At Mass Poetry, we're working to build a community that lifts all voices, one voice at a time. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you, Rupa. Thank you to our amazing speakers, the incredible Mass Poetry team. To those of you watching online, it's our goal to raise $100,000 tonight. We've already raised $65,000, so thank you very much. Before you leave tonight, I hope you will put your pen or pencil to paper and help mass poetry write its future. Thank you.
How's everybody doing? Yeah? I'm just going to put in here, thank you so much. Just like Daniel said, we're very grateful for you being a part of this evening. It means a lot to Mass Poetry. It happens every year. It's my first time. It's an honor to be here, and I really appreciate your time. So next, we will hear from a teacher and a student. In 1999, Dr. Kimberly Frazier-Booth answered a call to teach, earning a Master's of Arts in Teaching from Northeastern University. She joined the faculty of the Edward M. Kennedy Academy for Health Careers in 2003. She holds a PhD from UMass Boston, and her research revealed that students are looking for teachers who care about them personally as much as they care about educating them. And she drives her remarkable, and that thought drives her remarkable classroom work. And just having the honor to spend a little time with her this evening, she has a certain gravity to her and wisdom that I'm so glad that we can all share, we can all take part in it tonight. Josie Colon, as you heard, is a current student at Northeastern University and an alum of New Mission High School. She served as her high school's Boston Student Advisory student representative. She hopes one day to start her own nonprofit that incorporates the arts with social justice for young Black girls within her community. And she really gets around. She's performed at Mass Poetry's readings and plans to be involved in Mass Poetry's upcoming teen spoken word program. Dr. Frazier-Booth, thank you.
We Real Cool by Gwendolyn Brooks. The Pool Players, 7 at the Golden Shovel. We real cool. We left school. We lurk late. We strike straight. We sing sin. We thin gin. We jazz June. We die soon. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I have to start with a not so carefully guarded secret as an English teacher and at this event, and I'm sorry to confess, but poetry is my least favorite genre. I know. Why say in 10 words what you can say in 110? When my school started working with mass poetry, I scoured my memory and I could pinpoint the exact moment I was turned off of poetry. But when Daniel asked me to speak at this event, I recalled my first encounter with poetry, one of amazement. It wasn't We Real Cool. It was a poem about a rat named Red. Run, Red, run. Run to a red sun. Run to a red sun. Run, Red, run. I memorized this amalgam of syllables and rhythms and excitedly ran home to share it with my folks. I discovered lots of poetry with my parents, especially my dad, who loved my peals of laughter whenever we read Shel Silverstein's Peanut Butter Sandwich. I found Gwendolyn Brooks on my living room floor while thumbing through Ebony magazine. We read magazines in the days before the internet. And page turners were the precursors of clickbait. At that age, I read Ebony for the pictures. I was mesmerized by glossy images of Black celebrities living in their mansions, their gleeful children enjoying glistening swimming pools. One issue featured poems, snippets of text that I could grasp, literally. I cut out We Real Cool and a few other poems to hold on to. I ran into the poem now and again, probably because it was somewhat canon for a generation before Maya Angelou became established as a go-to poet for phenomenal women. Decades later, in my Northeastern University graduate poetry class, I was charged with the task of writing a 20-page poem on a poem of my choice, here we go. But nothing that my Don Quixote-looking professor had suggested made me want to chase windmills, especially not the one with the man howling about Moloch, Moloch, Moloch. So I wrote about this 4-stanza poem with its 2-line epigraph and was immersed in the very features that made me love We Real Cool. The way the strike straight creates the sounds of the pool balls, the ambiguity of thin as a verb, and the fact that the enjambment made each line end on we, not the words that became an internal rhyme as a result. We were the pool players themselves. In an interview, Brooks shared that the poem was about a group of boys she saw from the bus window, boys who should have been in school but weren't. She was puzzled about their fate. As a burgeoning teacher, I wondered the same. I think that as a kid, I only saw how cool we were, real cool. As a teacher, I hope I might be an alternative to dying soon. And as the prose promoting AP teacher, I appreciate that despite the poem being about them, it is spoken by us. A poem that for 50 years, despite my shifting perspectives, is first person, inclusive. It imagines our bravado, our stupidity, our shared humanity. And when our humanity is shared, we are all real cool.
Hi, everyone. That was really cool. That was really good. My name is Josiana Colon, but everyone calls me Josie. So before I get into my poem, I just want to say a quick little thing about mass poetry. So mass poetry in general has impacted my life in several ways. With I want to say a couple of months that I've been involved with mass poetry, I've not only felt motivated, empowered, and supported, I have felt welcomed. The first day I entered the New Grub Street space, I fell in love with mass poetry, and I just wanted to know how I could be involved. And then that's when Danielle came and was like, oh, do you want to talk at this event? Do you want to also be a part of the teen council? And I was like, I mean, yeah, that's pretty cool. And that wasn't supposed to be a pun to the passport. Anyways, so pretty much when I wanted to know more about how to be more involved, I started meeting new local Boston poets, and with that, I was also inspired because I started to see more youth, and I also saw people who looked like me involved in poetry, even so that I was able to see some of my favorite poets ever. So yeah, and so with this poem, it's very close to my heart because with poetry, I've been able to pretty much figure out who I am, and a lot of my poetry goes around my identity, and that's something I struggle with a lot. So this one is called As I. Sorry. As I, a woman, as I, a lady, as I, a girl, as I, a Afro-Latina girl who does not understand the complexity of her blackness, as I am categorized at times to be anything other than black, the power in my identity is lost and restricted because as I, a woman, as I, a lady, as I, a girl, I am just a confused girl who does not know her place or limits within society, but I recognize that I hold control. I hold control with my voice because even though as I, a woman, I am sometimes deemed as little, or as I, a lady, I lack the manners of a girl, or as I, a girl, I am sometimes categorized as a big girl, not a small girl, but a big girl with dumb thoughts, or a big girl whose head is too big for her thoughts, because as I, a woman, as I, a lady, as I, a girl, I am outspoken. I hold power within my voice. I hold power within my confidence. And even though as they are a man, as they are a young man, as they are a boy, within the patriarchy, they have no control of my thoughts, especially the ones I put on paper, even if they want to convince themselves that they do. You see, I speak and will continue to speak because as I am a woman who understands the importance and power of her voice, although I'm sometimes sent away with women do not deserve rights. As a joke, I recognize and hypothesize the likelihood of how far their ignorance will take them, because the difference between them and me is that although as a woman, as a lady, all of the above, I will not stand behind the societal limitations that are put onto my gender. Even though the misogynist proves his earnest, I will continue to write, hold power in the pen, powers in the finger that typed this poem, hold faith in myself, because as I am a woman, as I am a lady, as I am a girl, and as I am Josihana Colon, I will continue to challenge and advocate and make the call to reform. And that would not be under the permission of no man of entitlement, because who the heck is he to think he holds power over me? Because as I am a woman, I bring life, and as a lady, I bring ideas, and as a girl, I bring joy in the room I enter with my thoughts. My assertiveness should intrigue rather than intimidate or initiate some form of envy. Envy so far that you feel as though it is necessary to tie my feet into chains and uphold me to the standard society has put onto me. And you know, it's sad to see, because as I am a woman, and as I am a lady, as I am a girl to the man, my opinion might not matter after my voice leaves the scene. But as a woman, and as a lady, and as a girl, I will do it anyways. Thank you. But yeah, hope you guys like that. Have a good night. Thank you.
That was incredible, Josie. I could learn a lot from you. We're going to see a short video now on the Teen Spoken Word program that Josie's a part of.
Poetry, and I'm excited to see you. It is a spoken word program that Mass Poetry is putting on, where we are inviting young folks to come to the Center of Creative Writing with Grub Street and Porter Square Bookstore, and we're going to write poems and perform on a very basic level. What it actually is an invitation for young folks to learn more about themselves through poetry. We are going to write poetry, we are going to perform, but what I do is less craft and more human growth and development, more youth development, more wanting young folks to be a better version of themselves. That's what I'm here for, right? Everything that I'm asking folks to write is coming from their own lived experience. And if you can be in touch with that, then I think then there's gonna be great opportunity for you to grow and learn and write some really powerful things. The three main buckets that we're gonna be working with in this program are writing, performance, and personal growth. And we're gonna be asking some of the young folks themselves, what are some of the goals, what are some of the things that you want? And we're gonna co-create this curriculum as much as possible. We always start in a circle, regardless of what the day is gonna look like. We do a little bit of light stretching just to get the body going. And we do a couple of theater games in the beginning to practice a playfulness. And through play, we're able to, I think, gain courage. And some of the writing that we're going to be doing is a lot of self-reflective writing, a lot of writing that is touching upon the stories that we have. And so a lot of my writing focuses on empathy and being empathetic with yourself and also with the world around you, and how can we navigate both of those things in a way that feels good, you know? You don't need to identify as a poet to write poetry. You don't have to identify as an artist to think creatively. You don't have to identify as a writer to want to do self-reflection. So if any of those things are interesting to you, becoming a better version of yourself, wanting to have more confidence, this is the space to come and do it, because nowhere else are you going to find this much support along with the opportunities that come along with being associated with mass poetry.
You just met Anthony Febo there. He is the driving force behind Mass Poetry's Teen Spoken Word initiative. He's also a poet, teacher, and artist, and he's going to join us now.
Ooh, hello, hello. If you alive, say yeah, yeah. I said if you alive, say yeah, yeah. Ooh, good to know I'm not in here with no zombies. All right, can we give it up nice and loud for Stephen Foley for that video and the video that you saw before? I see you in the back, my mans. All right, all right. My name is Anthony Febo, and I'm very excited to be here. I'm just gonna talk a little bit about the program because it's a fresh baby. It's nice, like, you know, we've had 2 sessions so far. Phenomenal. First one we had 9 folks, second one we had 11, and it's only gonna grow from there, right? And so if you are a young person from ages 13 to 19, or if you know of any young people 13 to 19, go ahead and send them our way, right? We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna be focusing a lot on, as you heard, on writing, performing, and some personal growth. You're gonna be able to catch us performing at the Massachusetts Poetry Festival, coming back in May, first weekend of May. Make sure you got those in your calendars, all right? I'm very excited for this collaboration that we have with Porter Square Bookstore and Grub Street because it allows us to have a space in which young people can gravitate towards us. Oftentimes, mass poetry has been going into spaces where young people are, and this is an opportunity for folks to come to us, for us to build something ourselves, create a little bit of, make some noise, make a little bit of movement, and having the young people be the lead of that because eventually, us folks, they're not going to want to listen to us after a certain point. And if they are the ones that are spearheading, letting people know that poetry is alive and well, then I think we're going to be all right. So we want to make sure that we have them. A little bit about myself. I got into writing in 7th grade. I started with music and hip hop, and then in my junior year of high school, my English teacher noticed that I was struggling a little bit, but also noticed that I had a love for writing, and so he was like, Mr. Febo, we have a poetry competition that I think you should go to, and I was like, man, what I need poetry for? I rap. He's like, yeah, but you need extra credit. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And so I went there, and it was at that poetry reading, I saw someone perform full of life. It wasn't just them reading the words that were on the page. It was like they embodied it, and the whole room felt that, and the way that everyone reacted, similar to the way that we're reacting now, right? Actively listening, and then going up to the poet afterwards and being like, thank you so much for sharing that. Like, that is when I fell in love with poetry. I was like, ooh, this is what I'm looking for. So it was less a poem and more a community that I fell in love with, right? And one of the beautiful things is that you don't have to be an English teacher with a student in your class recognizing that they have a love for poetry but need extra credit. And you don't need to be a young person performing on stage in an audience that is welcoming folks in order to support poetry. You can do that. You can do that tonight. Matter of fact, on your seat there is most likely a little piece of paper, and that piece of paper, the program on the inside has a little information for you to be able to fill out if you want to. And if you're like, man, I don't use pens or pencils, I haven't done that since 2006, right? Then that's cool. There's a QR code in which you can also use as well. If you also just want to Venmo Anthony Febo, that works out really well. There's a way that we add a pluses and minuses to make sure that the money goes where it gotta go. But I'm up here talking trash. I just want to say thank you so much. I want to give a nice big shout out to all of these phenomenal individuals on the stage, and a shout out to you for coming here tonight, y'all. Thank you so much.
Our next trio is a powerhouse, and I'm going to take my time with these introductions because they are meaty. Lee Pelton is the CEO and president of the Boston Foundation, one of the nation's leading philanthropic organizations with $1.7 billion in assets. He joined the foundation in June 2021 after serving as president of Emerson College and Willamette University. Pelton began his career at Harvard, where he earned a PhD in English literature with an academic focus on 19th century British prose and poetry. Who knew? He serves on the board of directors for the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce, the board of trustees of public media pioneer GBH, and the Barr Foundation. Then we'll hear from Dan Chasen, poet, critic, essayist, author of 6 books, professor at Wellesley, and writer for both the New Yorker and the New York Review of Books. And rounding out the group, Bill McKibben, writer, environmental activist, author of more than a dozen books, and most recently founder of Third Act, mobilizing Americans 60 and older. For the last 30 years, his voice has sounded a powerful warning about climate change. Bill wanted to be in person with us, but he's currently in Cairo for the UN Climate Summit, and so he is going to appear by video. Wait first.
So good morning, or good evening, everyone. You know, I'm often asked, you know, what's my favorite poem? I don't have a favorite poem. They're like my children. So I'm not going to read my favorite poem, but I'm going to read to you a poem which speaks to the moment, speaks to the democratic moment that we are in. It's not a new moment, but it is one that you will recognize. And so I want to read to you the original MAGA poem, Make America Great Again poem. Let America Be America Again was written in 1935 by the African-American poet Langston Hughes. It was originally published in the July 1936 issue of Esquire magazine. And the poem was republished in the 1937 issue of Kansas magazine and was revised and included in a small collection of Langston Hughes poems entitled A New Song, published by the International Workers' Order in 1938. I'm reading this to you because this is my ancestor's poem. This is my Mama Avery grandmother's poem. This is my father's poem. This is my Mama Rose, my mother's poem. This is my three beautiful black sisters' poem. These are all my relatives from parts of the South poem. And this is me. Let America be America again. Let it be the dream it used to be. Let it be the pioneer on the plain seeking a home where he himself is free. America never was America to me. Let America be the dream, the dreamer's dream. Let it be that strong land of love where never kings connived or tyrants schemed, that any man can be crushed by one above. It was never America to me. Oh, let my land be a land where liberty is crowned with no false patriotic wreath, but opportunity is real and life is free, and equality is in the air we breathe. There's never been equality for me, nor freedom in this homeland of the free. Say, who are you that mumbles in the dark, and who are you that draws your veil across the stars? I am the poor white fooled and pushed apart. I am the Negro bearing slavery's scars. I am the Native American driven from the land. I am the immigrant clutching the hope I seek and finding only the same old stupid plan of dog eat dog, of might crushing the weak. I am the farmer, the bondsman to the soil. I am the worker sold to the machine. I am the Negro servant to you all. I am the people, humble, hungry, mean, hungry yet today, despite the dream, beaten yet again, O pioneers. I am the man who never got ahead, the poorest worker bartered through the years. Oh, I'm the man who sailed those early seas in search of what I meant to be my home, and I'm the one who left dark Ireland's shore and Poland's plain and England's grassy lea, and torn from black Africa's strand, I came to build a homeland of the free. The free? Who said the free? Not me. Surely not me. The millions on relief today, the millions shot down when strike, the millions who have nothing for your pay, for all the dreams we've dreamed and all the songs we've sung and all the hopes we've held and all the flags we've hung, the millions who have nothing for your pay except the dream that's almost dead today. Oh, let America be America again, the land that never has been, and yet must be the land where every man is free, the land that's mine, the poor man's, the Native Americans, the Negroes, me, who made America, whose sweat and blood, whose faith and pain, whose hand at the foundry, whose plow in the rain must bring back our mighty dream. Out of the rack and ruin of our gangster death, the rape and rot of graft and stealth and lies, we the people must redeem the land, the mines, the plants, the rivers, the mountains, and the endless plain. All the stretch of these great green states, and make America again. So this is Langston Hughes' America. This is his democratic vista. It is a sharp rebuke. It is a sharp and biting contrast to the mean-spirited and puny aspirations and shenanigans of Make America Great Again. And as I said, this is me. This is the air I breathe. This is what I wake up to every day. And this is what I go to sleep with. And I've tried to spend my life, especially now, in trying to make America great again. You know, in 1916, John Dewey described democracy as the most ethical aspiration conceived by ethical communities. And this aspiration was unattainable, he wrote, without a society's commitment to a lifelong education to develop the capacities for associated living in a society characterized by complexity and diversity. This is the great American dream, that we can create out of the rich diversity of human experience communities made both beautiful and effective by their pluralism. Not the kind of dream that is available only to those privileged by history or family income or wealthy neighborhoods. Not the kind of dream that is built on narrow self-interest, but rather a compelling vision of what we could be if we were truly open to the best that is known and thought in the world. The kind of dream which will swing open wide the doors of opportunity, which sets the table for all to enjoy life's bounty, and which holds our nation's motto, E pluribus unum, out of the many one, a living creed. Thank you very much.
These are not cosmetic, I assure you. It's a real honor to be here. I love mass poetry. I teach at Wellesley College, and we have a kind of relationship with mass poetry, interrupted by COVID-19, but I hope we'll resume. It's just a great honor, and to hear these astonishing poems from all of you. This is a poem by someone from the distant past, 400 or so years in the past, and who ran afoul of power and was executed, beheaded. When you hear the poem, I think you'll be able to see why. We speak from the margins, poets speak from the margins, and we speak clearly and ferociously. The Lie by Sir Walter Raleigh. Go, soul, the body's guest, upon a thankless errand. Fear not to touch the best. The truth shall be thy warrant. Go, since I needs must die, and give the world the lie. Say to the court, it glows and shines like rotten wood. Say to the church, it shows what's good and doth no good. If church and court reply, then give them both the lie. Tell potentates they live acting by others' action, not loved unless they give, not strong, but by a faction. If potentates reply, give potentates the lie. Tell men of high condition that manage the estate, their purpose is ambition, their practice only hate. And if they once reply, then give them all the lie. Tell them that brave it most, they beg for more by spending, who in their greatest cost seek nothing but commending. And if they make reply, then give them all the lie. Tell zeal, it wants devotion. Tell love, it is but lust. Tell time, it is but motion. Tell flesh, it is but dust. And wish them not reply, for thou must give the lie. Tell age, it daily wasteth. Tell honor how it alters. Tell beauty how she blasteth. Tell favor how it falters. And as they shall reply, give every one the lie. Tell wit how much it wrangles in tickle points of niceness. Tell wisdom she entangles herself in overwiseness. And when they do reply, straight give them both the lie. Tell physic of her boldness. Tell skill, it is pretension. Tell charity of coldness. Tell law, it is contention. And as they do reply, so give them still the lie. Tell fortune of her blindness. Tell nature of decay. Tell friendship of unkindness. Tell justice of delay. And if they will reply, then give them all the lie. Tell arts they have no soundness, but vary by esteeming. Tell schools they want profoundness and stand too much on seeming. If arts and schools reply, give arts and schools the lie. Tell faith it's fled the city. Tell how the country erreth. Tell manhood shakes off pity. Tell virtue least preferreth. And if they do reply, spare not to give the lie. So, when thou hast, as I commanded thee, done blabbing, although to give the lie deserves no less than stabbing, stab at thee he that will, no stab the soul can kill.
Place by W.S. Merwin. On the last day of the world, I would want to plant a tree. What for? Not for the fruit. The tree that bears the fruit is not the one that was planted. I want the tree that stands in the earth for the first time, with the sun already going down and the water touching its roots, in the earth full of the dead and the clouds passing one by one over its leaves. So, William Merwin was a dear friend and one of the great poets in the world. And this poem obviously appeals to me in part because I've spent much of my life, most of my life, at work on the greatest existential crisis that the world's ever faced. I've had to grapple emotionally, intellectually, and in other ways with the possibility that this incredibly sweet and beautiful world may be coming to some kind of an end. I work diligently every day with many, many other people to try and prevent that from happening. But the name of the first book that I wrote, the first book about the climate crisis that I wrote when I was 27, and it came out back in 1989, was The End of Nature. And so far, it must be said that our planet's political and economic systems have not exactly rallied to the defense of the planet in the ways that we could have or should have. So for me, the poem is a remarkable emotional and intellectual resource. It's also a reminder that William Merwin was one of those people who walked his talk in the most straightforward ways. He spent the last decades of his life in the aptly named town of Haiku, Hawaii. And there, on a piece of land that he and his wife Paula purchased, which was, like most of Hawaii, deforested and grazed to within an inch of his life, he painstakingly over decades built a palm forest of many, many, many species, some of which live only now in that grove that he built. And when I say a palm forest, you might have in mind an orderly and ornamental garden. Nothing could be further from the truth. This was a true jungle with plants of all kinds and a palm canopy and a place of just utter wonder. When he took you on a tour of it, it could last hours, though it covered only a few acres. It was one of the most remarkable places, a true second chance Eden, and a true evocation of this poem, which I think is a sentiment we badly need on a planet gone badly awry.
Hi. So you know when poets are like, I should definitely write poetry, but then we don't take the time to write poetry? We told you to donate, but we didn't give you the time to actually donate. So we're gonna go ahead and do that now, right? A couple of the lights are gonna come up, and in your pamphlets, like we said, there is a little piece of paper in there if you wanna do it like that. If not, I'm sure the person next to you has a little something, QR code as well. And then our volunteers are gonna come down and grab some of those whenever it is that you're ready to do that. And just while you're thinking about how many zeros to add, we're gonna go ahead and give it up nice and loud for Acoustic Nomads, y'all. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
thank you so much to you and to the acoustic nomads. Thank you very much. Our next two leaders are on the front lines of the critical health battles of our time. They each lead a vitally important health institution serving the needs of tens of thousands of families. The first is Dr. Asad Saya, the CEO of Cambridge Health Alliance and the Commissioner of Public Health for Cambridge. He helped steer Cambridge, Somerville, Malden, and Revere through one of the most extreme public health crises of our time. Dr. Jennifer Childs-Roshak is the first physician to lead Planned Parenthood League of Massachusetts, as well as its advocacy and political arm, the Planned Parenthood Advocacy Fund of Massachusetts. And I really don't have to explain that she's helping it through a very fraught time right now. So, Dr. Asad, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It is truly an honor being here tonight. Among amazing, distinguished speakers, I am not a poet. And really, this is outside my zone. But it's very inspiring being here tonight, listening to the amazing poetry, listening to really words that speak to your heart. I am a scientist, and when I'm usually standing up here, I'm speaking of research, medicine, ways to really heal. But truly, there is more than research in medicine of ways to really heal. Words. Words are absolutely critical. So when I had the honor and being asked to being up here, I really thought, this is not my space. And I reflected at a time when I was a kid, at a time where truly some words that are as important as science impacted me and my future. And at a time where I grew up in a war-torn country. I'm Lebanese in origin. And at a time where words really, as I said, had impact on me. A kid that immigrated to the United States at the age of 17 with no English, no money, and no family. Among my small belongings were 3 books. One of these books, although it was in a different language, spoke these words. And I will be speaking from Khalil Gibran's book, The Prophet. Sorry, I also need the glasses. I'm not 17 anymore. And this is On Good and Evil by Khalil Gibran. And one of the elders at the city said, "Speak to us of good and evil." And he answered, "Of the good in you I can speak, but not of the evil. For what is evil but good tortured by its own hunger and thirst? Verily, when good is hungry, it seeks food, even in dark caves. And when it thirsts, it drinks even of dead waters. You are good when you are one with yourself, yet you are not one with yourself, you're not evil. For a divided house is not a den of thieves, it's only a divided house. And a ship without rudder may wander aimlessly among perilous isles, yet sink not to the bottom. You are good when you strive to give of yourself. You're not evil when you seek gain for yourself. For when you strive for gain, you are but a root that clings to the earth and sucks at her breast. Surely the fruit cannot say to the root, 'Be like me,' ripe and full and ever giving of your abundance. For the fruit giving is a need, as receiving is a need to the root. You are good when you are fully awake in your speech, yet you're not evil when you sleep while your tongue staggers without purpose. And even stumbling speech may strengthen a weak tongue. You are good when you walk to your goal firmly and with bold steps. Yet you are not evil when you go thither limping. Even those who limp go not backward. But you who are strong and swift, see that you do not limp before the lame, deeming in kindness. You are good in countless ways, and you are not evil when you're not good. You're only loitering and staggered. Pity that the stags cannot teach swiftness to the turtles. In your longing for your giant self lies your goodness, and that longing is in all of you. But in some of you, that longing is a tern, rushing with might to the sea, carrying the secrets of the hillsides and the songs of the forest. And in others, it's a flat stream that loses itself in angles and bends and lingers before it reaches the shore. But let not him who longs much say to him who longs little, wherefore are you slow and halting? For the truly good ask not the naked, where is your garment, nor the houseless, what has befallen your house? Truly, these are words of wisdom that reflect to our world today as they did when Khalil wrote them over a century ago. A world that's polarized, a world that's either good or evil. But reality is not like that. There is good in all of us. And we have to really look at the good in all of us, because we have to give a better world to our children. Otherwise, as we heard earlier, there's not going to be a world for them. Thank you very much for your attention.
Wow, well, this is a tough act to follow. I guess it's good to be last, but not least. So thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored and humbled to be in this crowd. I really want to thank Mass Poetry. I am an English major. No one really knows that, given my current day job, but I have always loved reading. I've loved poetry, and it's just such a privilege to be here. So my poem that I'd like to share with you is The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then I took the other, as just as fair and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves, no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first one for another day. Yet, knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh somewhere, ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. So I chose this poem because it's been a long-time favorite, and while in some ways it's not, it's a traditional poem of sorts. For me, there are just a lot of things that have made it a favorite and really close to my sense of self. And I think it's interesting, the themes that have run through this evening have been the themes of identity, and I think also themes of place. And for me, I'm from northern New Hampshire, lived and grew up in the shadow of Robert Frost, down the road from the Frost House, one of many scattered all over New England. He was always moving, and I wondered why recently. He taught at the Dow Academy in Franconia, New Hampshire, which is right near where I grew up. The poem also, for me, evokes a lot of feelings of some of my favorite things: hiking, fall, being in the mountains, going on a walk with friends, wondering about which path was going in which direction. And there's something, too, about the poem that speaks to, I think, a New England work ethic. And as a sturdy northern New Englander, it always feels like the harder you work, the more it's worth it. And so there's something about this poem that speaks to me about that. I think, the invitation tonight gave me a chance, as probably my colleagues as well, to reflect a little bit on personal and professional experiences. And I would say it's been absolutely the forks in the road that have been the more interesting, the more challenging, and the more rewarding parts of living, not just working. And being able to take those roads less traveled really has made a difference. I think, this poem is famously connected to independence, individualism, nonconformity. And I guess it does speak to me as someone who grew up in a traditional, pretty religious household in northern New England, grew up in the 70s and then the 80s, where there were different opportunities for young people, and especially for young women. And so, I feel like I've had a lot of opportunities for a lot of firsts and a lot of roads. And oftentimes when I speak with young folks or anybody, who asks about my career path, I always describe it as been meandering. There have been many forks in the road. I started off as an English major and then decided to go to medical school. I had at admissions to a medical school locked up and met my husband and decided to reapply all over again. We're still married 33 years later, so I think it was a good path. I had my first son, wasn't part of the plan, during medical school. So I have a Planned Parenthood story there, I guess. But anyway, choice is important. And he's now 30, and it certainly was an interesting path to be a medical student and a parent, and then a resident in training and a parent. And it made me a much better doctor, family doctor, and it made me, I think, a much better parent. I chose family medicine, which was not the conventional path at the time. Now I think family medicine holds a different cachet, but these paths along the way, at one point, I decided to go back to school in my 40s and get an MBA, and was told I was going to the dark side. Again, a different path, but I think all of these experiences have helped me land where I am in this moment in time, leading an organization that has been under attack, taking care of patients who desperately need our care, our love, our attention, and making sure that no matter who you are, where you live, who you love, how much money you make, what zip code you live in, that you have access to sexual and reproductive health care, you have the ability to make your own choices and be your own person and live your best life. And without all of those paths, thanks, without all those forks in the road, I don't think I would have been ready to take on that task. So my message to all of you, and to especially the folks who are earlier in their careers, take the road less traveled, take those forks in the road, because they do actually make all the difference. So thank you.
Thank you so much, doctors. We are so grateful for your work. To help us wind down the evening, we'll hear from Mass Poetry Board member Usman Hamadi, a Pakistani-American scientist, poet, and educator.
How are we, folks? As a board member, I think you know why I'm here. I realize I'm wearing green and I'm about to ask you what I'm about to ask you, so oops. Hello, everybody. My name is Usman Hamidi, and I'm proud to serve on Mass Poetry's Board of Directors. Thank you so much for joining tonight, whether that's here at the Calderwood Pavilion or at our live stream. Before serving on the board, I was a mass poetry teaching artist and had the opportunity to work with students in Hyde Park and Salem. It was beautiful to share with students an art form that has completely changed my life's trajectory. The work we accomplished together motivated me to join the board. I wanted to ensure that people have access to poetry for years to come. Tonight, we've made tremendous progress towards our fundraising goals. If you're able, I hope you will make a gift before the night is over. You can hand your donation envelopes to an usher or volunteer on your way out. You can also donate at masspoetry.org. Phoebo lied, there is no Venmo. Your contributions towards our 100K milestone will help us bring poetry to communities across Massachusetts. And as you've heard tonight, we need poetry, not just in classrooms, but in boardrooms, in hospitals, and so many other places. We hope that you can join us on our mission. A warm thank you to our powerful speakers and to our wonderful MC, WBUR's Rupa Shenoy. Thank you to the following event sponsors: the Boger Family Foundation, Nutter McLennan and Fish, the Women's Writing Circle, Havening Techniques with thanks to Elizabeth Carter, Harvard University Bookstore, Pat Stone, the Emily Dickinson Museum, Molecule, a tiny lit magazine, the Huntington Theater, the Academy of American Poets, Grub Street, our partner at the Center for Creative Writing, Porter Square Books, Brookline Booksmith, WBUR, our media partner, and the Boston Globe. A special shout out to our host committee members. You will find them listed in our program. Thank you to my fellow board members, our passionate staff, our poets and teaching artists, and all the volunteers who have graciously given us their time. Lastly, I'd like to thank the talented and capable team at the Huntington Theater and the Calderwood for helping make this event run as smoothly as it did. Special thank you to our production partner, Stephen Foley. I'm grateful for everyone's energy here and virtually. You are why we work so hard every year to make this event as magical as it is. So thank you so much and have a wonderful evening.
You guys have been a wonderful audience. Thank you so much for your generosity. It really feels like a community here, and I think we're all grateful for it. Thank you. And thank you for helping us honor Mass Poetry's mission, which is to bring poetry to people. And thank you so much to our speakers. Thank you for sharing part of yourselves that, we don't always see. Thank you for being vulnerable and being willing to share and speak with us. I am going to close us out with a poem, which is very intimidating after all of you. I wanted to do one that kind of points us forward. So, Chorus from The Cure at Troy by Seamus Heaney. History says, don't hope on this side of the grave. But then, once in a lifetime, the longed-for tidal wave of justice can rise up and hope and history rhyme. So hope for a great sea change on the far side of revenge. Believe that further shore is reachable from here. Believe in miracle and cures and healing wells. Call miracle self-healing, the utter self-revealing double take of feeling. If there's fire on the mountain or lightning and storm and a God speaks from the sky, that means someone is hearing the outcry and the birth cry of a new life at its term. Good night, and thanks again so much.